In today's video, we'll be learning about Dify, a visual LLM platform that helps you build GPT-based applications easily and intuitively. The web-based UI is easy to get started with and allows non-developers to quickly design and deploy LLM applications. This makes it easier to put up a working app in production compared to coding frameworks such as LangGraph or AutoGen. Dify provides visual design, context enhancement, observation, and training capabilities for LLM applications. It supports popular LLMs such as the OpenAI models, Anthropic, and when installed locally, you can use Ollama models such as Llama 3.3. It is designed to be an entry point for LLM development, especially for those with limited coding experience. A visual prompt editor and debugging interface allows for quick onboarding, and with some effort, you can get your first agent running in under 10 minutes. As of this recording, Dify supports 5 types of apps: Chatbot, Agent, Text Generator, Chatflow, and Workflow. Today, we'll look at some of the differences and create a few sample applications to get an idea of the capabilities of the platform. This is not an in-depth tutorial of all the features of Dify. We'll quickly go over the different app types and demonstrate in a few short steps how easy it is to get a basic LLM app working. We'll start by taking a look at Dify's website and plans, then move on to creating 5 applications using the Visual Flow editor. The use case for today will be a medical assistant. We'll start the tutorial soon, but if you'd like to follow along, feel free to check out the GitHub repo. While there's no coding for this tutorial, there are helpful resources and code examples on many agentic frameworks such as LangGraph, Dify.ai, and more. The link will be in the video description. If you need support or just want to connect with like-minded AI developers, consider joining the Discord server. The link will also be in the video description. Okay, so we'll look into the Dify website and plans. When you first go into the website, you'll be faced with the marketing material and some of the descriptions and app types. For example, a RAG pipeline, enterprise LLMs, LLM agents. You can scroll down and read the materials on the website. It's a very well done website. Also, the product is an open source product, so you can visit their GitHub repo, familiarize yourself with the source code. If there's an aspect that's not working out for you, or you need new modules or plugins which were introduced recently, you can go ahead and browse the code and write your own extensions or plugins for the platform. All in all, the platform supports many different workflows, agentic, Chatflow, and has a great support for different LLM providers. Now, let's take a look at the plans. Today, we're going to use the free plan, which is a sandbox environment with limited capabilities, but the professional is $59 and the enterprise versions then are $159 and custom plans. The free version supports OpenAI models only, so we can't add any other models, and we are not going to be able to use local Ollama models because we'll be using the hosted solution, which is still a great opportunity. They also provide 200 prompt credits, which once you exhaust those prompt credits, then you can enter your OpenAI keys and get going. Here's the documentation. The documentation also is pretty extensive and provides good overview of the modules, how to get started, FAQs. Overall, very well designed website with a good information. Let's move on to the sign up and configuration. Once you go into the main page, hit get started, and there are multiple ways to log in. You can log in with GitHub, Google, or your email. We'll do by logging in with GitHub today. And once you log in, you see your dashboard. It's blank right now. On the left, you can see how you can create applications. Then you can explore different app types. And at the top, you will see 4 buttons. Explore will give you an idea of all the pre-built applications to get you started quickly. So this is a big advantage compared to other platforms. Dify provides a lot of pre-built applications and agents and flows. And the knowledge base is where you can create RAG systems, as we'll see. In the tools, again, there is a host of pre-built tools so that you don't have to waste time building tools from scratch. So great marketplace of tools, apps, and agents. So this is an example of a tool that I created earlier. It uses the BraveSearch engine. and we'll look into it in more detail in the coming up sections. When you go into the settings, you'll see the models. So in the model section, you can go to the OpenAI and add your key. Click on the settings, just paste your OpenAI key. When you first sign up for the free plan, you'll be given 200 prompt credits. If you'd like to use other models, such as the Azure OpenAI models, you have to go into the paid plans, and the minimum is $59 a month. Otherwise, you won't be able to use these models with Cohere, Azure, NVIDIA, and others. That's the billing tab, and here you can set up limits as well as understand your quotas and document limits as well. In the free plan, you have a 5 megabyte limit, but that's what it is. Now you can set up a lot of different alerts and monitoring systems since it's a SaaS-based solution. So the sign up is very simple. Sign up with your GitHub or Google, come to the blank page, and in the next example, we'll start creating our first chatbot. This is our first example. Let's look at how easy it is to create a chatbot from one of the existing templates. For this example, we'll use a template, and for that, we're going to go and click Create from Template. And in the template, there are a number of applications already. So you can scroll and browse these applications. At the top, there's a drop down where you can limit it by chatbot, agent, or other types. So that's really good. There's also a search box next to it. On the left, there is a menu where, again, it provides an additional level of filtering. Today, we're going to create a website generator as a chatbot application. So we're going to call it Medical Assistant Generator, Chatbot. And we're going to select an icon. So let's pick a medical icon from the list of icons provided. This is a very nifty feature so that you can easily find your applications once they grow in size. A small description for the website generator app. Our goal is to create a chatbot which will create a web page for medical purposes. So we'd like to pass a prompt and we'd like to pass a topic. And we'd like our chatbot to create a single page web application. So we'll test its capabilities now. This is the interface, and it already comes with the prompt pre-populated, which is really amazing. You also see how you can change the model. Currently it's GPT 3.5, but we'll change that to 4.0 mini. So let's change that. Now, when you look at the prompt, we'd like to customize it by adding a variable. And adding variables to prompts is very simple. You can just go and type a curly brace, and the tool automatically will recognize that you would like to add a variable. Take a look at this example. So if the topic will be the first curly brace, it will prompt for a new variable, and the variable name will be topic, and it will ask me to add it, and I will say yes. And as you can see, the variable has been added. In the variable, we also have an input box to be able to enter value for that particular variable. So in our case, this input box identifies the topic for our medical research webpage. So let's enter common flu, and we'd like to find common home remedies for flu. That should be the topic of our single page web application. And now the prompt will be create a web page for common flu, and let's see what the tool comes up with. We're gonna hit the arrow and kick off our chatbot, and the chatbot is now working using our O1 mini model. Immediately the code starts flowing. We have HTML, we have CSS, and we have JavaScript code in one single page. That's the prompt for this application, and the topic context information was received from the input that we provided earlier. It's a rather quick execution. It's using a small model, inexpensive model, but overall it provides a good code coverage as well as instructions how to install this web page to a server. Really quickly, this is how you can create many applications from the existing prompts. You can also publish it, and if you select Run App, it will open it in a new tab, and in the new tab, you can just enter the topic and then start chatting with the tool. This becomes important when you'd like to share your chatbot. Let's say you created something with Dify, and now it's time to share it with the world, your coworkers, your investors, your startup people, whoever. Once you click that button, it gives you a custom URL that is shareable, and anybody with access can see the chatbot and give it a test drive. Other visual tools such as Flowise also provide this feature where you can both open it in a new tab or a new browser, but also you can embed it into a web page. So this provides that capability. functionality. We can enter our topic and run our chatbot as well in this new interface. So let's just enter a topic. And from here, we can see that our chatbot already started, and now we can prompt it with anything that we'd like. So the prompt is running, and already we see that the execution is working. Great. Now, this is working as an independent page. Let's go back to the publish button, and now the embed functionality creates a code snippet, which we can just grab and copy paste into any page, and it should work. And then there is also work open in Explore, and open in Explore would open it in the Explore tab as an application. And if you'd like, you can also share this with the community later on. That's also a great feature. This introductory example just provided a quick sense of how easy it is to create a chatbot from the existing template. Now let's move on to something a little more complicated. Let's create a chatbot from blank. So for this, we're going to go back to the main dashboard and select create from blank. And once selected, then we will pick from the options available, we will select chatbot. As you can see, there are 5 different options, but we'll pick chatbot. Here we'll populate it with our medical assistant information, choose an icon, and provide a description for our new chatbot. This is going to be similar to the first one we created, but remember the first one was from a template, and this we're creating from scratch, and there is a significant difference, and you'll see the differences. But this one will come completely blank, so you can customize any and every aspect of it, while the template ones come pre-populated with prompt, sometimes with tools, sometimes with agents. So we just hit create, and once we hit create, instructions, the prompt, the variables, everything is blank. Now we have a blank slate, but here we can experiment with the generate feature for the prompt. I wanted to show you this because it's very capable of generating great system prompts for agents and chatbots. We're not going to use this generated prompt because it's a little more complicated than I'd like it to be. But we will see the power of a good system prompt. We have videos on this channel explaining the importance of good system prompts, detailed system prompts. And this is an example of Dify providing a very, very detailed system prompts. Unfortunately, a little bit more complex than I'd like for this tutorial, but you'll see how important and how sophisticated the system prompt is with all the variables included and all the details for this website generation bot for medical assistants. Includes 4 different variables, including the topic, the audience, and other details. We'll hit cancel. We'll come back, and instead we're going to create our own custom prompt. And for that, I have prepared a simple prompt. We'll paste it. We are going to create a single variable here, again, the topic. And once we add the topic, Dify will recognize that this is a variable. It will prompt us to add it to our chatbot. So we're gonna hit add, and it's already added, and we have an input box for our new variable. And now we can give it a test drive. Remedies for common flu. That's our question. And oops, there's a problem. It says we haven't entered the topic. So now we have to go and populate the topic because it's a required variable. You can also make variables optional, by the way, but this was a required variable, so it prompted us to fill in the variable. And now the chatbot is running. Now it's provided us with the 9 remedies for common flu. That's really good. This is how you can create a bot from scratch. And by the way, you can also add knowledge base and other things. You can change the model here, and you can publish it just like we published the other chatbot. So we're not going to go over that. This example was another variation of the same chatbot, but this time we created it from scratch. In the next example, we'll look into how to create an agent with tools. For that, we're going to go to the dashboard to the left and say create from blank. And this time we'll pick agent, and we're going to populate it with our medical agent information. Just a simple medical agent. Pick an icon from the list. We'll look for a doctor icon, and let's just find something that is fitting. Okay, we found an icon. We pick a background, and now with short description for our agent app, and then create. Once we hit create, the tool is pretty fast. This is the hosted version. It's not running on my local computer. I'm on the free plan, so still provides quite a bit of performance. Now the prompt is blank. The variables are blank and the context is blank, but as you can see, there's also a tool section. So we're going to populate it with a simple system prompt. Again, we're going to pass a variable in the system prompt. We're going to call it a topic. So here we're creating that variable. It's going to prompt us from the variable. Good. And now we're going to go into the tools section and hit the add button. Once you hit the tools, you will be introduced with a number of tools. So the first one for us will be the web scraper. And the second tool that we'd like to add is the JSON parser. So for this example, we'd like our agent to go scrape a web page, find the remedies for common flu, and then output them as JSON. So that's the purpose of this agent. And that's how we added the two tools. The agent itself will determine which tool to use and how. We don't have to specify that. That's the key feature of agentic flows here. Now we can go and create a simple prompt, providing the URL of the page to get the information from. By the way, let's take a look at this Piedmont page, a simple page with a number of home remedies for common flu. This page we'll use as a source. And now we're telling our agent, go scrape this page, get the information, and from there create a structured JSON for the remedies. So the topic will be common flu, and we're asking for home remedies related to that. And now our agentic flow is working. So let's see what it comes up with. So the first observation is that it needs to use a tool. And for that, it needs to use the web scraper tool. Now let's see what the web scraper tool comes up with. Okay, we already start seeing results. And the JSON will be created from the web scraper tools results. So the agent will take the data and convert it to the JSON format. Actually, we haven't provided a JSON format. It will come up with its own JSON format. And as you can see, we start with a root element called remedies, and then all home remedies are listed in the JSON format. And we can verify from the web page that they're the same remedies listed on this web page, which is hydration, vitamin C, sleep, honey and teas, and so on and so forth. If you inspect the JSON, it will be verbatim the same list because it scraped that web page. That is our agent. It was a simple agent and it was all drag and drop. We didn't have to create any code, but that's how easy it is to create an agent app in Dify. Let's move on to our next example. In the next example, we're going to create a RAG chat flow. RAG is a retrieval augmented generation. And usually what happens is that you create a data source, and that data source is of a vector format typically. And then that data source performs a search based on the user query and provides the results to the LLM, in a way augmenting the LLM's knowledge with the knowledge from the database. And that's a powerful way for creating up-to-date knowledge for LLMs. Usually every LLM has a cutoff date that is either 6 months or 1 year or sometimes 2 years in the past. So if you'd like your LLM to have the latest and greatest information, RAG is a relatively inexpensive way to build that. So in Dify, RAG is built in and it's called knowledge base. So we go to the knowledge base tab, and we can create any document base or any knowledge base that then we can supply to an agent as a RAG tool, and that will supplement the LLM's capabilities. So that's exactly what we're going to do in this example. Let's get started. First, we're going to navigate to left and pick Chatflow. And we're going to create this from blank as well. We're going to give it a name and pick an icon and give it a short description. Once we do that, we're going to go to the knowledge tab and then create a knowledge base. And for this, what we're going to do today is we're going to go to the same Piedmont page, save that as PDF, and then use that as a knowledge base. So once you create the chat flow, the first time you already have these 3 nodes created for you by Dify. You have a start, you have the LLM, and you have the answer node. So this is the standard template for chat flow. This is the blank template. Now you can click the LLM and start customizing it. And as we'll see, you can add knowledge nodes here before the LLM to supply the information. But before we do that, let's take a look at how we'll create the knowledge base. Here is the web page. We're going to copy all of this information and put it into a PDF file. Use your favorite editor. I use Pages to copy paste this and save as a PDF. Then go into the knowledge tab and create it as a PDF. So this is important. In the knowledge tab, it's super easy to create any sources. So just hit the add file button on the top right and then upload your PDF and let the tool index it. And once it's ready, the status will change to available, and then you can use it in any Chatflow or agent flow. So that's exactly what I did with this file. Now it's available for me to use in this flow. The first thing we're going to do is break up the link between start and LLM, because that's where we'd like to inject our knowledge base node. Then we're going to hit the plus button, and from there we're going to add a block called knowledge retrieval. So it's the second in the list under LLM. That's what we're going to add here. So click that and automatically it will create a node. Once you drop the node onto the canvas, it's not connected to anything yet. So if you just run the flow like this, nothing's going to happen. We broke the chain between start and the LLM, and right now our flow is completely broken. We need to connect start to knowledge and then knowledge to LLM, and then create a context variable where the query results from the knowledge retrieval are passed to the LLM as additional context. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to hit knowledge retrieval, and then in the knowledge section, we're going to add our reference knowledge. This is step number one. When you first add a knowledge block, it's empty. You need to tell it which knowledge sources, which we created earlier, it must use for this particular retrieval. So that's where we select our flu remedies.pdf. The other thing we need to do is connect the start node to the knowledge node. So just hold it and drag it and connect the two nodes. So let's go ahead and do that. Those are connected, and now you can connect the knowledge node to the LLM and hit the organize button on the bottom right where you see the tool icons. On the most right is the organize canvas, and if you click that, it will neatly organize these icons so you can see all of them in one place. Now you can click the knowledge and inspect the output variables. One of the output variables here is called the result, and that's the result of the user's query. In this flow, when the start node hits, the user types a query such as give me the 9 common flu remedies that I can do at home. That's my query. Then that goes into the RAG, and the RAG here is the PDF file which was parsed into a vector database. And then there is a search performed, and there is the top n results. Usually it's 4 to 5 results are returned from the RAG search. And by the way, when you're adding the PDF into your RAG, you can specify your chunk size, your overlap size, and several other parameters, including the embedding model, which is very important. And once that's done, the results are then passed into the LLM. But you need to create a variable and tell the LLM the name of the contextual variable to be used later on. That's what we're going to do. Back into the LLM, we're going to go into the system prompt and pick the context. So from the context, we'll pick the knowledge base result. And in the system prompt now, we can use that variable. So we'll change the system prompt variable and say use. We're picking a variable, and we're going to say query result context from the retrieval. Okay, so now that's done. There is one little thing that we need to finish. We need to provide a query variable. And for that, we're just going to do sys.query, and we'll save that. And once all the warning signs are gone, we can publish, and now we can preview. So let's hit our first query. It's actually even moving and showing us which node in the Chatflow is executed, and the results come just as expected. Everything is listed, and you can inspect each and every block and their inputs and outputs, which provides a great level of tracing and debugging information when you need and when something is not working as expected. Okay, so you can inspect all of these, and especially with the LLM outputs, that is the information that gets before it is formatted to the user. All of these flows, just like the chat flows we saw before, you can publish them, you can get their custom URL, share them with your friends, colleagues, or embed them in any other website. So imagine not just this medical case scenario, but imagine a customer support scenario. You can build your RAG system and embed it into an e-commerce website or your own corporate website, and that chatbot will be enhanced with information that is provided through the RAG. By the way, just like RAG, you can also add other tools, and some of these other tools could be SQL query tools related to customer information. So if you'd like to make these RAG chat flows even more effective, then you can link it with SQL-based queries that retrieve customer information in real time and make it a lot more contextual for individualized service bots, as long as you have strong authentication and authorization methods to identify customers. These chatbots can be a great resource for solving a lot of the problems that your customer support staff is dealing on a daily basis. So think about that. We're not going to cover it today, but maybe that's a topic for another time, where we can build a chatbot, has the RAG, it has SQL access capabilities for retrieving customer data and providing contextualized, personalized data specific to that customer. Let's move on to our next example. In our next example, we're going to look at workflow with tools. We kind of saw one of the tools, but now let's dive into more specific tools. And for this, we're going to create a workflow. And by the way, workflows are a great mechanism for chaining actions with LLMs and with triggers and with outputs in a way that makes a complex multi-step process a lot simpler. So you can start with a simple prompt and have the entire workflow execute both with agents, with RAG systems, but today, especially with tools. Diffy provides a number of built-in tools, and they're great. We're going to use the BraveSearch tool, but make no mistake, you can build your own custom tool and add it to Diffy, and then you can have unlimited extensibility of these workflows. So when we first build the workflow and launch it, automatically you will see that we have arrows and nodes, and that is one of the signature views of a workflow. So when you log in, you will see that you can execute step-by-step various workflows. Diffy is slightly different than its competitors. It offers extra functionality that, for example, Flowise doesn't offer, but it goes into tools like N8N that are more workflow-based. So by combining LLM capabilities with workflow capabilities, it taps into a unique market, because many in the industry use tools such as Flowise and N8N together to accomplish LLM and workflow capabilities, where we have two tools that are best in class in a way. But in this case, Diffy offers one interface for creating workflows with LLM included, and it's visual and it's drag and drop. It's something to think about. Let's move on with the example. We're going to fill in the name. We're going to pick an icon, and we're going to create a short description for this. It's a medical workflow. And now we'll hit create. And once we hit create, immediately in the interface, we'll have the start icon, and we're now prompted to add our first block. This makes it easy to get started because the tool already prompts us what we're supposed to be thinking about. This list provides some of the blocks that we can include in this workflow. Our first start node is empty, and we can inspect it by looking at its properties. There's nothing much to see here. But what we're going to do is we're going to go down and hit the plus button. And from the plus button, we're going to add a new tool. So let's go ahead and do that. And we're going to go into the tools section. There is a number of tools here. It's a big list. So if you need something, you can just use the search box instead. So let's search for Brave. And here we have the BraveSearch tool. And we just add the BraveSearch tool. Now, once added, you can click on it and configure the query string and then the number of results returned. For the query string, we'll just enter the top 10 flu home remedies, and for the results, we're going to enter 5. By the way, just a small note, when you add these tools, sometimes you need to configure them with API keys. I've already configured the BraveSearch tool with my personal API keys, which you can get for free from BraveSearch. and it allows for up to 1,000 queries a month, which is very generous from BraveSearch. In this tutorial, I'm not entering the key, but just keep in mind that when you first add a tool that requires authorization, usually you need to go and configure and paste the key in the configuration box. Now that BraveSearch is configured, we can go ahead and close this panel and connect our LLM. So let's go and now look for our LLM. And now we're bringing our LLM block. Now we're connecting the start to the search tool and from the search tool to the LLM. Okay, so we have a 3-block workflow. There's going to be one more block that's needed, and that's going to be the end block, but let's configure our LLM. To configure the LLM, we're going to enter a system prompt. And for the system prompt, we're going to use a simple language, use the tools provided, and perform search. We're also going to enter the results from the search that will be passed to the LLM. So for that, we need a context variable in the system prompt. So that is also entered. And by the way, this is one of the built-in variables. Once you add tools, some of the tools come pre-configured with their own context variables. So this makes it even easier to connect tools with each other and to LLMs because we don't have to create variables. And once you click the curly brace, Dify will show you the list of variables that are already available to use, so you can pick the one that makes the most sense. In this case, search results variable from the query tool. That's how we configure the LLM. So now let's close this panel and let's add one more node, and that will be our end block. So we need to have a start, we need to have some tools, and then we have to have an end, and we connect the LLM to the end. Let's organize our tools and let's use the zoom tool to see our workflow. It's a very simple workflow at this moment. We have a start, which starts with the user prompt. Then we have a search. The user prompt then goes into the BraveSearch. Number of results are returned, 5 as we configured it. And then those results are passed to the LLM. The LLM uses the search results and the user query and then analyzes them and synthesizes an answer and provides that back to the user. So that's our simple workflow. In other workflows, there are many different ways to trigger emails, Slack messages, write to a Google Bigtable, read from a Google Sheet, use Zapier APIs, use custom APIs, trigger messages, put a message in a message queue. There is a limitless number of possibilities in these workflows, but this is a short demonstration of the basic capabilities. So for today, we're going to be okay with just 4 blocks with a simple search tool and an LLM. So let's continue. We're going to update this and then hit the run button. Once you hit the run button, something interesting starts happening. Dify will show you in green which node of the workflow is being executed at that time. So this is a unique feature to Dify. I haven't seen this in other tools, where visually the users are made aware of which section of the workflow is executing, and then it can be inspected in real time. So that's pretty nifty. The test run is executing, and now we have reached the end. And this list provides the results of each node. You have the start, you have the BraveSearch results, the LLM, and the end node. So let's look at the LLM results. And the first one is the input. The input to the LLM is the output from the BraveSearch results. So that makes sense. Then the process data is what the LLM is being processed. And then there's the output from the LLM. This is similar to LangSmith as well as Logfire. If you've used the LangChain and LangGraph, LangSmith has a great facility where you can go and inspect the inputs, the context, and the outputs from LLM calls when you start constructing agentic flows. Logfire has the same for Pydantic.ai, but really for any other framework as well. Logfire is platform independent. You can use it with any language and platform, and it provides similar tracing and telemetry features. So these tracing and telemetry are built into Dify here, so we don't have to go to a third-party platform to inspect the results and do tracing. Good. So let's take a look at the outputs, which is the most important, and this is what is being displayed to the user. There is a little maximize icon, so once you maximize the outputs, you can copy and paste them as well to any editor that you like, and here is the textual output for our medical research workflow. Okay, so that's how you create a workflow. It's a very simple workflow. These workflows can get quite sophisticated. If you go and play, you will see that there's an if-else blocks as well as looping blocks. So you can have forks in a particular workflow with conditions where, for example, the outputs of the LLM are in certain ways, and then you can execute a different branch of the workflow. But for today, we're not going to hit them, but the workflow management within Dify is fairly capable, and you can create sophisticated workflows for everyday use. All right. Now let's move on to the next. I'd like to take a few seconds, not in-depth analysis of comparing Dify to Flowise, but because these tools are widely used and there are questions in the community, I just wanted to address the differences between Dify and Flowise in several categories. Let's start with the feature set. Flowise and Dify offer a similar feature set where Dify has features that are crossing into the workflow space, which, as I said earlier, in the case of Flowise, they don't exist. If you'd like to use strong workflow management, you need a third-party tool such as N8N or others. So Dify offers a bit of a richer feature set when it comes to workflow management, as well as one of the things that makes Dify quite useful is this number of pre-built libraries. You have templates for chatbots, customer support, research, a lot of other code writing agents, for example. So there's a very rich and very capable library, and that makes it unique and a little better than Flowise AI. From a developer perspective or the DX perspective, I'm a little more biased towards Flowise AI because it's easier to install to a local environment, customize, and work with. Now, Dify also offers a way to install it locally and run it in a local environment or in an enterprise setting, but I found it to be a little bit more difficult. It requires Docker, whereas in the case of Flowise AI, it's just a simple npx install. By the way, Flowise can also be installed from source, from GitHub, and it's a little more involved, but then you can configure all sorts of environment variables. Flowise AI has made it super easy to get started with a single installation command. They've assumed a lot of defaults and it's running locally very quickly. You could be up and running in 2 seconds using Homebrew on a MacBook. So Flowise is super easy. Dify is a little bit more involved from a developer perspective. This is my biased opinion perhaps, but it seems to me Dify is targeting a lot more hosted users and hosted environments, whereas Flowise has a large base of developers and hackers who would like to take the platform and run it locally or install it in an enterprise environment. The hosted plans for Dify also present themselves as more business-oriented and more as hosted solution, whereas Flowise AI seems a lot more like a local solution. They do have cloud plans as well, but just from a developer experience, Flowise seems a little better. Local environment and local development, Flowise again seems a tad better. I haven't had a chance to play with Dify in a local environment because after reading their instructions on how to install it locally, I kind of gave up. It seemed a little more involved. Enterprise use, both Flowise and Dify offers enterprise plans, both hosted and on-prem, and it seems that they have similar features. From an integration and support perspective, it seems like both Dify and Flowise have great features, with Dify having a bit more in some ways integration capabilities, but that all depends on your plugins and your needs when it comes to integrating with downstream systems. Flowise AI also provides a number of document stores as well as vector stores and LLMs and nodes. Flowise is based on a LangChain LangGraph, and some of the agentic flows seem limited by that framework's capabilities, as opposed to Dify offers a wider range of agentic and workflow and Chatflow capabilities. So it really depends on the framework, the downstream tools, as well as the ecosystem of other tools that you use. Finally, the companies behind the product. Flowise AI is a US-based startup, and Dify is a team of former Tencent. Both systems are open source, both are supported, and there is a company behind them. So their support plans and their licensing agreements are fairly liberal. So you just need to identify, and perhaps if there is a need for an enterprise plan, talk to both companies and representatives and see what levels of support you can gain. To summarize, if I were to use a tool as a developer and play and prototype and create capable systems on my local environment quickly, Flowise probably would be my choice. If I'd like to create a business application that is enterprise ready and that I don't want to spend too much time coding or getting my hands dirty with code, perhaps Dify could be the better choice for that. With that said, let's move on to our summary. Visual editors lower the barriers of entry for LLM applications. When the field expands, it opens up more possibilities and creative ideas can be put in practice. Dify offers a great platform for starting LLM development through chat flows, agents, and workflows. And today we saw a few examples. Alright, we've come to the end of another tutorial. If you stayed this far, get your favorite drink and kick back. I hope you enjoyed this introductory video and you learned something new. If you like this type of content, please consider subscribing to the channel and giving it a thumbs up. If you have any feedback, please submit a comment. Thank you and see you in the next one.